So we've come into June now, and there has been a real change in the weather in this part of North London, certainly, over the past 2 weeks. Most noticeably, perhaps, a real drop in the temperature from being very warm at the end of May. So much cooler with some rain and storms. And the Solace garden has taken the rain to its earth, and the grass has grown, and the bamboos are flourishing, and now white hydrangeas are coming up into bloom between the fountaining bamboos. So my main tasks in the garden have been brooming and raking and getting up on ladders to cut back overhanging branches from the lime trees. So in the previous film, introducing meditation, I said that I had found it difficult as a younger man to come into meditation, and it really wasn't only until some good way into my Tai Chi journey that my body seemed to open up my mind. So I came into meditation through the posture. This isn't to say, however, that knowledge is not needed. And at a certain stage I found myself going back to books, which had at first I found bewildering, frankly. And having come some of the way through my own efforts of Tai Chi, Qigong, I began to find that the knowledge that I had experienced myself, I began to see in books from notable teachers. So it's not that knowledge isn't needed, but it is the fact that knowledge is only ever partial, in both senses of the word, in fact. Also, I would like to say that meditation has really very little to do with intelligence, as we would measure it. Intelligence, too, is also limited in us through what we have received from our ancestors. And we all know the great uplift it is to come into the presence of someone whose intelligence is formidable, exciting, sometimes daunting. But really, this kind of intelligence is not the opening in the mind that one finds through meditation. Perhaps one could say that the mind behind mind is limitless. So I asked you a little question in the previous film to choose one or maybe two words to use in place of the word meditation, and I have received several responses, all of them very nice to receive, I would say. And for those who did make a response, I'd like just to press a little further. So if your word for meditation was perhaps quietness or flow, stillness, then the follow-up question would be, of what nature is that quietness or flow or stillness? And supplementary to that, where does it come from? And from where does it arise? A few years ago, one of the students that I was teaching on a regular basis in the class came to me with a problem that he had found it very hard to practice what he's learning in the classes. How to practice, when to practice, what to practice were his questions. And we've all had these. So in the response of how to practice, I would say with sincerity. And that's personal sincerity. Your practice isn't for me. My practice isn't for you. So a personal sincerity. What to practice? Well, if you're following the training, you will have something given, which you should perhaps practice and repeat. So repetition, sincerity. When to practice? Really, when you can. But I would say if you can find a time of day that feels conducive to you, and it might change through your life, from maybe early morning to late at night. Anyway, at the time that the student asked me these questions, I made a response to him in written form. On practice. See what you can hear.
To be still, to hear in our eyes, see with our ears, sound with our touch, taste in our minds, mind in our breath. Only meditate and awareness appears. Then we must know that a human life, our own, is necessarily acted upon by that which is naturally occurring in the world, its obvious forms, yet also from that which is naturally hidden, its mysterious forms. Then must we further recognize that our inclinations in terms of mood, activity, health, are in their turn affected by the habits of the season, together with our maturing, beside the procession of earth, the moon, and sun through the vault of heaven's time. Make clear the heart's mind. Subtle life patterns may emerge. In the Tai Chi and Qigong systems for health and martial arts, these patterns of knowledge, of wisdom, have for so long been nurtured that they resonate in us from an era before record, and indicate principles by which we may cultivate our lives. Times of day, and season best suited to practicing our arts are prescribed, as if on a clock or compass face, though not only in terms of hours and orientation, but, and primarily, as the flux of spiraling yin-yang. Early morning is recommended at the hour of sweet dew. The yang-qi rises, expands. At dusk, the primordial yin-qi is gathered, practiced quietly. To practice during a day's last and first hours is to enter the stream of virtue. And yet, in truth, these are the ways of the hermitage. We have, for now at least, mostly metropolitan lives. We must practice where we can and when. But let us only be aware. By careful study, we disclose our individual circadian round. Let nature be our heart's companion.